The sea people killed a whale. The drum was beaten. After that, they lay down and drifted into sleep. Only one remained awake, a newborn child. He cried and reached for his mother's breast. He suckled and cried at the same time. Anna, Ada, Aka. From far away, Kele answered, Ada. The child stopped crying, but the voice kept calling, Aka, Ka. Kele drew nearer. He shouted, Na, Ga. He was close now. The infant ate his mother's breast. Then he ate the other breast. The infant became a Kele. While suckling, he devoured his mother completely. Then he ate all those sleeping nearby. No one woke. While he fed, the other Kele kept answering, Aka, 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 and all who slept nearby were eaten. Kele stepped outside, naked, no clothes, huge, fully grown. A herd of wild reindeer passed in front of the dwelling. Naked, he ran after the herd. A cold wind rose. He shivered. He froze and died. Five brothers once lived together. One of them went out into the Senduka, the tundra wilderness. He vanished. Another brother went to search for him. He vanished as well. They fell through the sand on the narrow sand spit. The Kele caught them and stabbed them. 3 brothers disappeared. Only 2 remained. Then a great wind arose. It blew for 2 months. The elder brother said to the younger, Let us go. Let us search for something on the Senduka. Otherwise we will die of hunger. They tied themselves together with a leather strap and set out. The wind pressed against them. Nothing could be seen. It was dark. Suddenly they struck against something. They looked. It was an iron house standing at the edge of the sea. Beside the house a herd was grazing. Reindeer. But their legs did not bend at the joints. They grazed. And when they wished to sleep, stakes stood everywhere, as tall as the reindeer themselves. The animals leaned their shoulders against the stakes and slept. The younger brother whispered, I will take one. He crept forward. With his knife he cut one of the wooden stakes. The reindeer stopped grazing. It wished to sleep. It leaned and rolled over. They killed it, prepared the food, and sat down inside the iron house near the sleeping place. Then, from the depths of the sea, something emerged. A being in the shape of a man, with one eye in the middle of his forehead. He looked into the darkness and said, The herd looks smaller. What a wonder. Who has stolen one? He returned into the sea and came back with his companions. Among them was a shaman. The brothers hid under the hem of the iron house. The shaman entered the iron house. He closed the doors as if locking them. Then he entered the sleeping place and began his shaman's chanting. Where could they flee? Above them was only one small hole, as if eaten through by a reindeer warble fly. The elder brother fumbled in the dark. He found 2 small feathers from the wing of a wagtail. He whispered, Here, a feather for you and a feather for me. The shaman chanted and chanted. until at last the raven spirit saw them. There they are. Take them. At that moment, the brothers fluttered upward, as wagtails. They flew through the hole. The raven spirit could not catch them. They reached the seashore and became human again. An old man stood there on the shore, chopping wood. They looked at him. "Who are you?" He answered slowly. "My father and his brother once went into the tundra during a great wind. They never returned." The younger brother turned to the elder. "This is your son." For when they left, the wife was with child. They looked at one another and died. Beside their bodies, two small birds fluttered. Wagtails. They rose into the air and flew away toward the tundra, into the wind. Four of the girls were young. The fifth was older. They walked across the Senduka, the tundra wilderness. Then the wind rose around them. The girls lost their way. As they wandered, they saw an iron tent. On both sides of the entrance, bears were tied. The bear dogs barked. "Eh," came a voice from inside. "It is us," the girls answered. "Kako, Kako, guests," the voice answered. "When guests come, do not bark at them. Let them enter without mischief. Come inside the sleeping quarters." Inside, the dwelling was filled with dried intestines, stomachs and slabs of fatty meat. "Well, well, eat," said the rough voice. Inside the tent lived a great Kele, black, hairy and bearded. "Take whatever food you like," he said. "Eat what pleases you." The girls ate what they could see. They tasted everything, for the meat was of many kinds, meat they had never seen before. "Well, well," said Kele, "now we shall sleep. Let the youngest lie beside me, to keep warm." Before they had fallen asleep, he ate the youngest girl whom he had placed beside him. "Well," he said, "now I will go after wild reindeer." And indeed, he went. As soon as he left, the remaining girls fled into the Senduka. As evening fell, Kele returned. He had slain 100 reindeer and hurled them all into the tent. He said to the lamp, "Where are the guests?" "They are gone," the lamp hissed. "Why did you not keep them here?" he said. "Where is the belt?" he asked the household spirit. "Bring the belt." They brought a long red worm. The belt worm rushed forward, its head already outside, its tail still in the tent. And Kele sent out the wind again. The beltworm caught up with the girls and turned them back. Wandering through the Senduka, they lost their senses again and went astray. Once more they walked toward the tent. The beltworm dragged them back. On the way, it ate one of them. The lost girls went inside the tent once more. "Ba-eh," came the voice. "No, it is us," they answered. "What do you want?" the Kele asked. "We were walking and lost our way." He tied the eldest girl with the belt. "If you wish to eat," he said, "then eat. If you desire marrow from the legs, bring legs. If you want sides or liver or kidneys, eat whatever your throat desires. Eat whatever you see." After the girls ate, he said, "Let the plump girl sleep beside me. She will be warmer there. She will fear sleeping alone." As soon as they fell asleep, the Kele ate her. 2 girls remained. He brought meat, round lumps, fat. Here, eat. He was fattening them. Toward evening they settled down to sleep once more. Kele turned to another girl and said, "Let her lie beside me. I will eat her soul." Night came. He ate her. Only the eldest girl remained. "Well," he said, "eat, eat. Do not be hungry, and do not leave during bad weather." She was fenced in on all sides and bound with the belt. "If you grow hungry," she said, "I will cook for you. I will be your companion here," she said. "I will be your worker. I will not leave." "Well then," he said, "cook, and then go into the sleeping quarters." "First," the girl said, "I need to relieve myself." He kept hold of the belt. She relieved herself and stayed where she was, crouching. He pulled on the belt. Nothing. "Oh," he thought, "she has grown fat. She can hardly empty herself." She entered the sleeping quarters. "I am hungry," he thought. "Shall I eat her now?" "But I am the last one," she said. "I am your companion. Why eat me? I am your servant and worker. My mother used to say, 'That Kele has no slave girl. We will raise you quickly, and then you will go to him.'" "No," he said, "I will eat you." "Let me sleep twice more," she said. "I have grown very fat." "Well then," he agreed. They slept. After waking, she said, "I must go outside again. I am growing fat and cannot relieve myself. Give me a knife. I will cut a piece of skin to wipe myself." "Here," he said, and gave her the knife. On the way, the girl cut the belt and tied it to a willow. She ran with all her strength. 4 men appeared ahead, still wandering, still searching for her. The 5th girl ran toward them. Kele pulled at the belt. "Why is she taking so long?" he said. He pulled and sang, "Koi, koi, 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 why is she taking so long? Now we shall kill her before she spoils from fat." But the girl had long fled. "Where is she?" he growled. He pulled again. "Hey you, pull back." He dragged out only the belt. "What is this?" he cried. "Send the belt after her, quickly." The belt worm rushed out. Before the girl reached the others, it looped around her head and hauled her back. The men broke into a run, rushing to her aid. Dragged back toward the iron tent, the 5th girl cut the belt once more with Kele's knife. Blood poured from the belt. It spilled and spread until it became a lake. The girl fled. Kele still held the belt by its tail. Blood kept flowing. The belt grew pale, drained of life. Then Kele untied the bear dogs. "Go! Bring back the mistress!" 4 men and the girl made their way home together. Behind them the bear dogs were closing in. They fled as fast as they could. The bear dogs were almost upon them. The 4 men stood their ground. Spears rose, and the bears were slain. Together, the men and the girl made their way home. They reached home, and everyone there kissed the girl. Before night had fully fallen, Kele followed the fresh tracks. Along the way, he came upon the dead bear dogs. Why did they die so quickly? They are useless, he said, and cast them aside. I will chase them myself, he said. I will be the dog. As he approached, fear seized him. He thrust his head into the sleeping quarters. "Eh." Before he could crawl inside, a man drove a willow staff straight into his chest. Waj? I am dying, said Kele. Kako, Kako, killed by a willow staff. And he died. For the man was a shaman. The wind ceased. The weather grew calm and clear. There was a woman. She said one day, "Well then, I will go out to the field." She went with 2 children, both still very small. After that, she bore a 3rd. She said, "I will look for inatelligent roots and gather berries." She lit her pipe to smoke, and then she heard a voice calling from far away. "Hey, come here." She answered, "Yes, yes, I will come. I truly will come." High up on a rock, the Kele appeared. Against her will, the woman went and came to him. The Kele asked, "How many children have you borne?" 3, she said. "And what is your husband's name?" "My husband is called Upenke." "Then go home," said the Kele. "That is all I wish to ask." The woman returned home and said to her husband, "There is a Kele over there." The Kele shouted, "Upenke's children seem to have grown." Upenke said, "Oh, he is shouting. Then I will sharpen my knife." It was a small knife, no bigger than a finger. The Kele came closer, shouting and singing, "Ah, ah, Upenke's children have grown, it seems. I will eat their livers." At last he came and called out, "Upenke." "What?" Upenke answered. "Give me at least 1 child." "I will not," said Upenke. "Then I will eat you," said the Kele. He opened his enormous mouth and swallowed everything, the house, and all the people inside. "Ha ha," said the Kele. "At least they taste like children." From inside his belly, Upenke answered, "Yes, at least they taste like children." Said the Kele. "At least I have eaten all of you." Then he vomited and said, "Oh, oh, I have hurt my throat." He shouted, "Upenke, throw the children out." Upenke pushed out the chamber pot. The Kele swallowed it, along with the filth. "Ah, you are deceiving me," said the Kele. "Ha ha, so be it," said Upenke. "Let me enter the sleeping quarters," said the Kele. "I agree," said Upenke. But Upenke's entrance was very small. Only the Kele's nose went inside. "I cannot," he said. "So that is how it is." Then only his tongue went in, searching for people, but it could not find them. They were hiding inside, in the pit. The fire on the lamp burned strong. The tongue was scorched. "Oh, oh," said the Kele. "I have burned myself. I will lie down and sleep." He lay outside and said, "Ugh, Upenke did not give me children." The Kele fell asleep. Upenke built a fire all around him and made it burn strongly. The Kele grew hot. "Hey, it's hot!" he cried. He looked around and shouted, "Upenke, put out the fire." "No," said Upenke, "but I will give you a child." "Good," said the Kele. "Hurry, Upenke, the fire is coming closer." "Wait, wait," said Upenke. "Be patient a little." Upenke went into the sleeping place, took a child, and tied it with a belt. He called upward, "Here, iron hook, come here." From above, the hook descended very close. Upenke tied the belt to it. "Now," he said, "pull a little." The hook lifted upward above the house. "Now take the child, Kele," said Upenke. "Where?" asked the Kele. "A little above you. Open your mouth. I will drop it in." The Kele opened his mouth. "Close your eyes," said Upenke. He closed his eyes. Upenke lowered it before the mouth. The Kele snapped, but caught nothing, for the belt was pulled too fast. "Oh, oh, hurry! Where is the child? I am burning." "Open again," said Upenke. The child became fire and fell straight into the Kele's mouth. "Ah, ah, ah," cried the Kele. "My mouth is burned." Fire burned him everywhere, his legs, his head, his back, everything. "Ah," said Upenke. "So I am stronger than the Kele, stronger than him in all things." "And you mock me too," said the Kele. "Of course," said Upenke. "I have killed you." The Kele crawled out of the fire and wandered away, crying as he went. "Ah, Upenke has killed me." At that time the whole land caught fire near the sea. The Kele carried seawater in a cauldron and poured it on the flames. The cauldron was as big as a house. He scooped up all sea creatures, seals, leaping Nerpa seals, bearded seals, walruses, canaralkin, polar bears, goby fish, even ice. The sea grew shallow. Then he said, "I must make water. Let me make water." He cut his trousers with a knife, stood over the flames, and made water for 30 days straight, until he put the fire out. Wherever the fire burned, water poured down, and all the fire was quenched. That is all. There was an only daughter. Her husband had died. She brought the dead man's head back to her parents' camp. The head laughed all the time. Her mother and father lived in another tent. The mother said to the father, "Our daughter is laughing by herself." The next day they saw a new neighbor. The daughter put the head in a bag. The mother looked inside. The head was laughing there. She ran away. She said to her husband, There is a head. When our daughter comes, tell her to go for firewood." And so it happened. The daughter came. The father said to her, "Go for firewood. When you go, do not look back. When you gather the wood, do not look behind you." They went away and left her there. She had gone for firewood. They threw the head onto the old camping place. When she finished and brought the firewood back, they were gone. She began to weep. The head said to her, "Do not cry. Better look for a broken piece of a knife and a dropped bit of flint." She did so. She found them both. The head said, "From willow catkins make shaggy tinder." She lit a fire. Then the head said, "Put all the firewood on, make a great fire. Gather many embers. Bring all the embers and place them on the fire, and place me there as well." She did so. She placed the head on the fire. The head flared up. After a little while, from the hearth a bell rang. From the hearth a man came out. It was her former husband. He said to her, "Lie down and sleep." And he went out into the tundra. She lay as if asleep, lying on her side. After a little while the caravan and the herd arrived. "Well," he said, "wake up and set up the tent." She set it up quickly and hung the covering. When that was done, she killed a reindeer. She cooked the food, and then she fell asleep. The wife slept at one end of the tent, the husband at the other. When they woke, she killed a reindeer again. They slept again, the husband in the middle of the tent, she in the corner. When they woke, they killed a reindeer again. They came together and slept side by side. Before long, she bore a child. In the morning, the husband lifted the child onto his shoulders and said to his wife, "Look, your father is coming." The father was drawing near. Then the husband said, "What shall we do now? If you wish to go to your mother, I will go away, for they left us not long ago. Or shall we move on to another place?" The wife went out quickly. She took down the tent. She brought the herd together. When all was done, they caught the reindeer. The husband cried out, "He is coming now. Go at once with the caravan. Do not look back. You will hear the thunder of hooves behind you. Do not turn your head. Go straight on." They moved upward as they travelled. He, together with the son, caught up with the herd, for the child had grown quickly. She glanced a little to the left. At once the sledge with the tent poles fell on the camping ground. "Ah," she said, "the sledge with the poles has fallen." The noise of the caravan was heard. They reached the stars. There they stayed the night in a tent. A woman lived there, a dweller of the upper world. They stopped there for the night. The tent had only a roof. There were no walls beneath it. Each night they stayed there. The husband pulled the covering down. With every night it came lower, little by little. At last he pulled it all the way to the ground, and it became a true tent. In the morning, the woman there said to the wife, "Come, let us go to the lake." She looked into the water. "Now you," she said. The wife looked, and there she saw the people below, women sitting, scraping hides. A tear fell from her, and rain began to fall. The tear became rain. They looked upward and said, "What rain is this?" And they stopped scraping hides. Then the woman of the upper world said, "It seems you let a tear fall. That is why the rain came." "I did not notice," she said, "that a tear was falling." There was a woman. She lived with her husband and one small dog. Nearby stood another tent. A young woman lived there. One day the husband went out to hunt and did not return. The wife went out across the tundra, searching for him the first day, the second, and the third. But she could not find him. She came home without strength and sat in the tent with the dog. She lay there through the night. The young woman crept closer and listened to what would be said. The wife said to her dog, "Why do you sit at home and do not go to look for your master? While I still had strength, I searched together with you. But now, how can I search? Go. At least you go alone." The little dog yawned toward her. "What are you saying?" she said. "At least you have 4 legs. You can run twice as easily as I. How can I go with you? My legs will not carry me." Then the dog spoke. "Where could I go to look for him? If he were on the earth, I could catch him, but he was taken upward. What can I do? I have no wings. I cannot fly. He was taken by the upper people." "Ah." The girl stepped inside and said, "Well then, I will try." She took the lampstand, pressed it to her chest, and it clung to her. On the stand, as if on wings, She flew upward. She reached the upper land. There was a dwelling there. She went into the tent. "Have you come?" "I have come." "For what?" "Give back the man." "I will not." "Give him back." "I will not." "I will take him." "I will not give him." "I will not." "I will take him." "I will." She took the lampstand and struck him across the back. He clung to it. Then she caught the other under her arm. Zhuzh. They flew down and came back to this land. She went into her own tent. She lived there with the man she had taken. The upper man worked. He tended the herd. He cooked food. When filth piled up in the tent, they said, "Vadzo," and he carried it out. The old wife lived nearby. A year passed. The flying woman said, "He misses his own land. I will take him back." Again she struck her husband on the back with the lampstand, and he clung to it. She took the other under her arm. Up she flew. She reached the upper land, and there she settled. There, the upper man was the husband, and the lower man the servant, each in his turn. A year passed. She returned again to this land and brought both of them. The husband from the upper land became a servant on this land. So she flew upward and downward for 12 years. When those years had passed, she said to the lower man, "Now live together with the old wife. I will fly to the upper land with him, and there I will live." They flew there together and were no longer seen. A man lived by the sea. He had 10 sons. He said to them, "Will we live without offspring?" For all of them were unmarried. 2 of the elder sons went out onto the ice of the open sea. There they saw a great lamp. Near the lamp lay meat, still hot. They ate. They died. Then 2 more brothers went, along the same old way. Again the lamp was burning. Again there was meat. They ate. They died, for it was human flesh. Then again 2 went. Again along the same old road. Again on the open sea they saw the lamp. One of them said, "Let us eat." It was the flesh of their own brothers. They died. A year passed. 2 more went. They said, "Where are they? Let us go and look for them." They went by boat. On the seashore they saw the lamp. They ate the meat. They died. Then the last 2 went. They found the lamp on the seashore. One said, "Let us eat." Why are they hiding? They thought the others were hiding. They ate. They died. The father said, "I will go and search." The wife said, "I will go too." A fox caught up with them. It said to the old man, "Metyngo will be sent to you." They went back home. At the doorway the old woman gave birth. In the morning, Metyngo walked. With each day he grew and grew. Soon he walked well. He said to his father, "Make me a bow." The father made a small bow. The day after, the boy was already almost grown. "Make me a big bow," he said to his father. The father made a big bow and asked, "Is it good?" "Why did you make it so small?" the son said. He pulled it a little and broke it. "Make me a big bow," he said again. The father made a great bow and strung it tight, binding the string with sinew. Between 2 tall trees a belt was stretched long ago by brothers now lost. He leapt over it, drawing his left arm into his sleeve. Then he said to his father, "Make me a boat." "I will not," said the father. "Make it," he said. "It is for seal hunting." The father made the boat. Metyngo went out and brought back 10 seals. Then he said, "Well, where are my brothers? Where did you leave them?" "They went long ago," said the father. "They went out to sea." Then he said, "I will go and look for them." "Why will you go?" they asked. "Well, well," he said. "On the 3rd year I will return." He went off in a boat to look for his brothers. Again he saw the lamp. A small seal came. He killed it, throwing his dart. He took out its heart and eyes, its liver and kidneys, everything. He came to the lamp. He looked at the boat standing nearby and said, "Ah, this is my brother's boat." He sat there. He did not eat, though there was much meat. After a while, a wolf came. Its mouth was bloody. It said, "Metyngo, give me your heart." Metyngo said, "Then I will die." "Well then," said the wolf, "give me your liver." "Kai, Kai, Kai," said Metyngo, "my liver hurts." He took out the seal's liver and gave it to him. The wolf ate it and said, "It tastes of seal. Give me your kidneys, Metyngo." "Kai, Kai, Kai," said Metyngo. So he gave him the seal's kidneys. Then the wolf said, "Now give me your eyes." Metyngo reached for his eyes, as if to pull them out, and gave him the seal's eyes. "Now give me your guts," said the wolf. "But I am dying," said Metyngo. "Now give me your heart," said the wolf. Metyngo lay as if dying. As the wolf ran off, Metyngo threw a spear after him and said, "Do not forget me." After that, Metyngo went into the house of the eagle spirit, the neighbor of the wolf. The master was not at home. Metyngo put on his feathered clothing and flew to the wolf's house. "Look," they said, "the swift one is ill." Metyngo said, "Well then, let us use shaman songs," and they both began to sing. He said to the wolf's children, "Go outside, come back tomorrow." He wrapped the sick wolf in sealskin. "Well," he said, "put out the lamp." He went up to the wolf and cut him all over. All the blood ran out. His insides were scattered. Then he took off the eagle's feathered clothing and fled in the boat. They chased him. They were close to catching him, but he jumped into the water. They reached the boat. It was empty. "Oh," they said, "we could not catch him." The eagle came back from the tundra and began to look for his clothing. He went to the neighbors and found his feathered garment lying there, all bloody. He said, "Why is my garment bloody? What is this?" And he killed the wolf's sons. Metyngo came back home to the old people. "I have come," he said. They were asleep. He could not wake them. They slept well. He slept too. In the morning they woke. When the old people saw their son, they wept for joy. "Well," they said, "stop wandering the tundra." "At least," he said, "the killers are gone." By morning, the old people died. Their time was over. He was left alone. He carried their bodies to their old place. Then he went inland, away from the sea, and left the tent. In a hollow he saw a herd of wild reindeer grazing. Only their antlers showed. He went closer, without a sound. He looked. They were people. Metyngo went along the ridges with them. The next year he saw a pack of wolves. The wolves said, "Let Metyngo come with us." Now he was naked, running like a wild reindeer. They went to ask the wild reindeer. The old father of the wild reindeer said, "I agree. Let him go to you." The wolves kept coming to people and killing their reindeer. Together with Metyngo, they ran after the herd and killed 2 each. They went along the seashore toward another settlement. The people chased them on reindeer. One howled, the wolf. The other wept, Metyngo. The wolves ran toward an opening through the ranks of the hunters. Metyngo was caught with a lasso. They bound him all over. He jerked himself once. The straps tore loose. He ran. The wolves were gone. He went with the foxes. A fox woman took him to the bait, to the wolf feeding place. The fox was caught in a trap, and Metyngo stayed there waiting. People came. Metyngo was there. They took the fox. He rushed forward and pulled his companion away. They overpowered him. They killed the fox and carried it home. Metyngo followed behind, for the man cried well in the fox's voice, and Metyngo went after them, moving ahead. They brought the fox home. There they seized Metyngo and bound him in the sleeping place. He nearly died there. The smell of people was too strong for him. They boiled clean water and made him drink. He vomited pure moss. After that he began to live well in the tent. He also vomited a tight lump of reindeer hair, matted together. He still could not speak. They asked him, "Who are you?" He did not answer. He lived there through one summer. The next year he said, "I am of the sea. All my people have died, so I left my home." And so he lived. There was a great shaman named Mazumkin, a reindeer man. He lived at the Middle Land. He had 80 tents. All the tents were filled with people. He had 8 herds of reindeer, like fallen timber in the forest. He had one son only, named Rintev. That son died. Mazumkin, the great shaman, searched for him across the whole earth. He searched through all the worlds, but could not find him. In great grief, he sat inside the tent. He no longer performed his shaman's rites. He did not leave the tent. The body of his son lay before him on a hide. The body had decayed. For 3 years had passed. The bones had parted from the flesh, and the entrails had fallen onto the hide and mingled with the rotting hair. At last the father rose, called 2 helpers, and said to them, "Beyond the edge of the earth, where heaven and earth meet, lives a great shaman, the Scab-Covered Shaman. Go and summon him. Tell him, Mazumkin calls you. Will you not restore my son to life?" He himself chose 4 reindeer for them. He harnessed them to the sledge. He seated the helpers on the sledge. He himself put the bridles on the ear. He himself placed the reins upon the helpers' hands. He himself spoke charms over the reindeer's ears and heads, over the sledge, and over the harness. When the charms were finished, he blew, and they flew through the air like geese. The Scab-Covered Shaman had 100 tents. They stood at the very edge where earth and sky meet. He had long been lying in the tent, for he could not move by himself. His whole body was covered with scabs. His mouth and the inside of his throat, his hands and his feet, his lips and his eyes, the soles of his feet and the tips of his nails, all were covered in scabs. Only his wife moved him about in the tent, from one place to another. Before they arrived in the morning, he said to his wife, "Lay me by the back wall. Give me the drum. I will beat it a little and look in trance at what is." He beat the drum for a short while. The drum hung on a strap, for he could not hold it in his hands. After a while he said to his wife, "Cook much food. Guests will come today. Move me to the front side." She had just moved him when the guests arrived. The messengers of Mazumkin set off above the land like birds and soon reached the edge of the earth. A cluster of tents came into view. One of them said, "Let us tether the reindeer and go on foot." They went on and entered the settlement, wandering through it as though through a forest. They asked those at the front where the Scab-Covered Shaman's tent was. They said, "Go farther." They asked those in the middle where the Scab-Covered Shaman's tent was. They said, "Go farther." They asked those at the back where the Scab-Covered Shaman's tent was. They said, "Go farther." At the very edge of the tents, they found the Scab-Covered Shaman. "Oh," said the Scab-Covered Shaman, "guests have come. Where are you from?" "From Mazumkin, from the Middle Land. His son has died, and he asks you to search for him." "And how could I go? I am covered in scabs. My body is hard like wood. My wife rolls me over like a log. Still, try. Mazumkin is rich. He will reward you well. I do not know how it will be. I will try." "And what did you travel on?" "On reindeer." "What kind of reindeer?" "What reindeer are these?" "Do you not know reindeer?" "There are so many of them." "What do you live on? What kind of herds do you have?" "Our herds are dogs. We eat dog meat." They looked. Dog herds were walking among the tents. The dogs were large and fat, no smaller than reindeer. "Well then, bring the reindeer. Let me look at them." They brought them. From all sides he looked at them and could not look his fill. "These are my reindeer." They thought in their bellies, "Ah, how shall we go home now? We are far from our land. This is bad." He knew their thoughts and said, "What are you afraid of? Do you think I cannot travel without your reindeer? I can." Again they thought in their bellies, "He is very weak. He is no great shaman." He answered, knowing their thoughts, "No, if I go, I will find strength." Again they thought in their bellies, "How will he take the reindeer? The dogs will eat them." He answered, "I can make it so they will not eat them. Bring the reindeer here." They brought the reindeer to him. He began to speak charms to them, into their eyes, into their ears, into their nostrils, and into their mouths. He spoke and spoke. As soon as he finished, the reindeer ran off, lifting their little tails like dogs. They ran to the dog herds and began sniffing one another, the dogs and the reindeer. After a little while he said, "What did you eat on the way?" They said, "Reindeer meat." "Show me your provisions." He looked them over. He looked and looked. These are truly my provisions. They thought in their bellies, oh, what shall we eat on the way back when we spend the night in the open? He answered, knowing their words, if we set out, will we sleep out on the open ground? We will not. The guests ate and drank. When evening came, the scab-covered shaman said, it is time for us to go. Near his settlement, there stood a high, steep mountain. We will climb that mountain. He took his drum. They took him under the arms and carried him to the top of the mountain. They reached the summit late at night and laid him down on the grass. Now sleep until morning, said the scab-covered shaman. He laid them beside him on the grass. As soon as they fell asleep, he tore up all the grass around him and began to plait a rope. He plaited a rope of grass, wove bridles and reins, placed the bridles on the sleeping men, took the reins in his hands, breathed out, and they went through the air like birds. And near Mazmkin's tent there stood a high mountain. Upon that mountain the sleeping men were set down. When dawn began to break, the scab-covered shaman woke them. Look about you, he said. What land is this? Why look, they answered, still heavy with sleep. It is the same mountain. They would not open their eyes. When the great dawn came, the scab-covered shaman woke them again. Look down, he said. Whose reindeer are grazing there? Whose tents are to be seen? May, they cried. That is our herd. Those are our homes. And they ran down. The scab-covered shaman came into Mazmkin's tent. The father was sitting before a heap of rotten flesh, not lifting his head. I have come, said the scab-covered shaman, called by you. It is hard to find what has been stolen, but it may be tried, as it will be. For you and I are both led by spirits. Did you search for your son? I searched. Where did you search? Everywhere. What did you find? Nothing. Above us the many stars are shining. Did you look among them? I looked. And what then? Nothing. Oh, where then shall we find your son if he is not there? In the depths of the sea live many great creatures, seals, walruses and sea cows. Did you look among them? I looked. And what then? Nothing. Oh, where then shall we find your son if he is not there? In the depths of the sea lives another multitude of creatures, fishes of middle size, white, red and grey, some naked, others clothed in scales. Did you look among them? I looked. And what then? Nothing. Oh, where then shall we find your son if he is not there? In the depths of the sea lives a third multitude of small creatures, sea stars, shells, worms, water bugs. Did you look among them? I looked. And what then? Nothing. On the surface of the earth runs all manner of game, wild reindeer, foxes, bears, hares, wolves. On the surface of the earth crawl all kinds of insects, white-headed beetles, centipedes, mottled beetles, black beetles. In the depths of the earth burrow red worms. Did you look among them? I looked. And what then? Nothing. Across the breadth of the earth grows a multitude of grasses. Did you look from blade to blade? I looked. And what then? Nothing. Oh, where then shall we find your son if he is not there? Did you search all the shoots and young growth of the willow across the wilderness? Did you search all the trunks of the trees in the forest? I searched. And what then? Nothing. The banks of the rivers are covered with small stones. Did you search among them? I searched. And what then? Nothing. All that is visible and all that can be touched, all that exists upon this earth. Did you search through it all? I searched it all. And what then? Nothing. Beneath this earth there is another world, belonging to Kele. It has its own sky, its own stars, its own sun and moon, and its own sea. Did you search among all that exists there, among the stars above, the fish in the sea, the grasses above the earth, and the worms in the soil? I searched. And what then? Nothing. Beneath that world there is a third world, inhabited by people. It too has its own sky and its own stars, its own sea, its own sun and moon. Did you search among all that exists in that world? I searched. And what then? Nothing. Above us, beyond the reverse side of the sky, there is another world, belonging to the spirits above, with new stars, a new firmament, a new sea. Did you search among them? I searched. And what then? Nothing. Above that universe there is a third universe, belonging to people as well, with its own sea and stars, and its sun, filled with game in the forests and fish in the waters. Did you search there? I did. Where is there more life? In the upper world, or in the lower world? Just the same. Where are there more fish in the sea, more game on the land, more birds in the air? In the upper world, or in the lower world? Just the same. Have you searched the world at the rising of the sun? I have searched. Have you searched the world at the setting of the sun, and at the dying of the dawn, and the world that lies to the south, and the world that lies to the north? I have searched everywhere. It is nowhere. But above all these worlds there is another world above us, a small world standing apart, belonging to the bird woman, eater of souls. Have you searched there? No, I have not searched there. I do not know that world. Then it must be the bird woman who has stolen your son. I will go and seek him. He beat the drum, thundering and roaring, and went down into the earth with it. After that, a noise was heard far beyond the tent. He came out of the earth and whirled upward with the drum, straight to the world of the bird woman. On the way, there were 3 worlds. To one he rose, from another he turned back, confusing his tracks. He passed through 3 worlds on the way and soon reached her world. He looked around. There stood an iron tent. In the tent, there was a round opening. Through it, one could see an iron inner covering, and in that covering there was another round opening. Through the opening, the soul of a boy could be seen. He was bound at the back wall, his joints fastened with iron straps. The bird woman had stolen him for food and set him by the back wall. Each morning she asked him, "What did you eat in your own land?" "I ate reindeer meat, meat of the sea, seal fat, walrus blubber, and the flanks of the wild reindeer." At once she would fly off across 3 worlds, bring back meat of many kinds, and feed him fattening him for herself. Along all the walls of the iron tent hung great pieces of meat. The bird woman was not at home. She had flown off to fetch whale skin to feed the boy. But at the door of the iron tent were tethered two wrecker, monsters with bear-like jaws and great sail-like ears that could hear the faintest sound. The scab-covered shaman turned himself into a mosquito. He was about to fly into the tent when they snapped their jaws. They had caught the sound of his wings. He turned himself into a gadfly. He was about to fly into the tent when they snapped their jaws. They had caught the sound of his wings. He turned himself into a white-headed beetle. He was about to fly into the tent when they snapped their jaws. He turned himself into a butterfly. He was about to fly into the tent when they snapped their jaws. He turned himself into a flesh fly. He flew into the tent, and they took no notice, for the rustle of a flesh fly had long been known to them. He flitted into the tent. Beside the other flies, he hastily fed on this meat, and on that. Then he flew into the inner tent, unbound the iron bonds, and turned the boy into a flesh fly as well. They flew out and returned to their own world. When they reached the third world, the bird woman overtook them. "Ko, why have you stolen my boy?" "I take the stolen back from the thief," said the scab-covered shaman. The bird woman spread her wings. The scab-covered shaman fluttered beneath them like a dry leaf in a whirlwind. He drew his hand into his sleeve, and from the sleeve he pointed his little finger toward the sky. Fire came down from the sky and scorched the bird woman's wings. He pointed his little finger once more. Fire came down from the sky and burned the bird woman entirely. Only white ash remained of her bones. He came down from the sky and came up out of the earth inside Mazumkin's tent. "Well," he said, "I have found the boy. We must make haste." He called his spirits and gave them the soul to hold. He looked at the heap of rot before Mazumkin, clicked his throat, and swallowed it. The rotten liquid splashed outward like water. "Bring a new hide at once," he spat, and spat the boy's body back out. The bones fell into place, and the flesh grew fast to the bones. Again he clicked his throat, swallowed the body and spat it out again. The body drew itself into a new skin, and all its flaws were smoothed away. A third time he swallowed it and spat it out. Blood flashed on his cheeks. He almost spoke. "Give me the soul," said the scab-covered shaman to the spirits. He swallowed the soul and spat it onto the body. It passed through the body like an arrow and struck into the wall. "It will not hold," said the scab-covered shaman. "The body is too cold." Again he swallowed the body, warmed it within his belly, and spat it out once more. Then he hurled the soul into it. "Bye, Kiki," said the boy, and he sat up on the reindeer hide. The father began to embrace him and kiss him. "Truly, you are a great shaman, greater than I. What reward do you desire?" "Let it be a herd of reindeer." "I agree. I have 15 herds. Which herd will you choose?" "Let it be the spotted one," said the scab-covered shaman. The whole herd gathered around the tent, stretching 3 days' journey into the distance. "Well," said the scab-covered shaman, "I accept." But let all the people go inside the inner tent and not come out, for all that remains outside I shall take with me, and watch over the boy. I have made him a shaman greater even than myself, but his mind will turn toward evil. Do not cross him, or it will go ill with you." He struck the drum, sang his song, and moved out of the tent. At once the noise of the herd and the sound of the song rose upward, higher and higher, until only fragments of the singing were still heard from an unreachable height. There was an old woman who lived by the sea. She had 6 sons. They went out in search of food and disappeared. Only the youngest was left behind. He was not allowed to go hunting. The household survived on charity meat. One day, while the old woman was busy, the boy slipped away. He went into the Senduka, the tundra wilderness. Before him rose a steep mountain. The boy began to climb. Upward he struggled again and again, but there was nothing to grip. He lost his footing and rolled down. Down and down he tumbled. At last he stood, bruised but alive, and climbed again. He nearly reached the summit, tried to step forward, and rolled onto his other side, sliding downward once more. His back struck something hard. Looking over his shoulder, he saw it. A fence made entirely of knives. This way, that way. There was no escape. Suddenly a voice rang out. "Ko, ko, ko." The little seal almost got away. The Kele seized the boy by the scruff of the neck and began to tickle his belly. He would have tickled him to death, but the boy went limp and pretended to die. The Kele went home and dragged out a heavy sled. He laid the boy upon it and bound him with straps. A sound escaped. "What a strange seal," the Kele muttered. "Why does it crackle?" Reaching the dwelling, the Kele shouted, "Ho, ho! I've caught a seal!" From the sleeping place his wife answered. The children laughed with joy. "A seal! He brought a seal!" They carried the boy into the tent and laid him on the ground. Water was poured over him. The boy clenched his teeth so as not to swallow. The Kele's children gathered, touching and prodding. The boy pinched one of them. "Ga, ga, ga," the child cried. "What is it?" the Kele's wife asked. "The seal pinched me." "Don't touch it," said the father. "This is a strange seal. It crackled when I laid it down." The Kele's wife hung the cauldron. From the boiling water rose hands, clenched, human hands. The boy thought, "This must be my brother's meat." They ate. Later, the Kele's wife came out, felt the boy's body. Alive and still warm. "What a wonder," she said. "The seal hasn't frozen yet. Let it wait until tomorrow." They lay down and fell asleep. The Kele rose quietly, filled a vessel, and whispered to it, "Here lies a little seal, a very strange seal. Watch him tonight." The vessel was set beside the boy. They slept. Heavy snoring filled the tent. The boy turned his head. "Kra, kra, kra," croaked the vessel. They slept on. Again the boy moved. "Kra, kra, kra." "Seal, seal, watch him." They looked. The boy lay as before. "Why are you joking?" grumbled the Kele, and relieved himself into the vessel. They slept again. Once more the boy turned his head. "Kra, kra, kra," came the sound, weaker now from beneath the water. Snoring filled the tent. The boy rose quickly. He filled the vessel with his own filth. He tried to lift the scraper, too heavy. So he took the Kele's wife's knife. The Kele and his wife were beheaded. The children were cut to pieces. The boy took the drum and went home. He arrived to find his mother's cheeks raw and crusted from tears. This is how the boy became a great shaman. There were 2 men above, living with their wives on the upper land. There was an orphan, Kukvalgon. He had only an uncle, and another uncle. He had 5 sons. They treated Kukvalgon badly. They did not feed him at all. "Well," he said, "I will go to the upper land." He went there. A man of the upper land said to him, "Have you come?" "I have come." "From where have you come?" "From a Noipuan." "Ah," he said, "I have heard of it only from my father in tales." "Well then, live with us, since you have come so far, and later, if you wish, shall I find you a bride?" He agreed. He called him out of the tent. There was an opening there, closed with a cover. He opened the cover. "Well," he said, "look down." He looked into the opening, and below, on the lower earth, people were running about. Women scraping hides, girls playing at ball. 5 sisters were playing there. "Well, which one do you want?" "It makes no difference. But will you be able to?" "Why not? We can, if you have come from so far away. You only have to say. Then let it be the youngest." The upper man told his wife to plait a rope from sinews. He fastened a hook at the end, lowered it down, caught the girl by the navel, and pulled her upward. He pulled her up, but brought up only her soul. Her body remained on the earth. Meanwhile, the people on the earth wept and carried her away to be buried. They drew her up to the upper land, smeared the soul with blood, and she became his wife. Earlier, on the way, he had met a dog. The dog said to him, "You will marry a woman in the upper land, sleep with her on the skiduka." They slept together. She conceived, and the next day bore a child. Within 3 days the child had grown. It was a girl. Then the master said to him, "Well then, at least leave us the child. She will be a worker, a servant. Now do as you wish. If you wish, you may go home." "How could I not wish?" he said. "I will go back to my own land." The upper people gathered firewood from all sides. It became a great herd, and the wife gave birth every day. She bore many helpers. All of them were clothed in white. Their harnessed reindeer were white. Everything there was white. They rode down. They reached the lower land, and the childless uncle, a great shaman, was sitting and performing his rites. "Oh," he said, "Kukvalgon is drawing near." Then, after muttering a little more, he said, "Kako, he has arrived at last." The sound of little bells was heard. A caravan came up. Kukvalgon entered the inner tent, now a rich man. The brothers heard of it and said among themselves, "Are we any worse? Let us go and seek our fortune." The eldest went. He walked and walked, and in the darkness he struck against a devil's net. The net snapped shut on him. The devil came and ate him. Then another went. In the darkness he struck against a devil's net. The net snapped shut on him. The devil came and ate him. Then a third went. In the darkness he struck against a devil's net. The net snapped shut on him. The devil came and ate him. Only the youngest remained, and he said, "Well then, I will go and search." His father would not let him go. He tied him with a strap inside the tent, so that he would not disappear. But at night he cut through the strap and ran away. He himself was a shaman. He knew everything. He went on and came to the trap. The trap tried to close on him. He said, "Stop, stop. I am yours already. Only wait until I spend the night here on the tundra." But it still kept reaching for him. "Well," he said, "wait until I speak my words to you. Why should you serve your master? From morning till night, he sets you here. You have grown thin, like a shadow. Would it not be better for you to be at rest?" "But he is a great shaman," it said. "But I too am a shaman." "Then let me hear your words." He sat down and began to speak them. He spoke and spoke. Then Kele came and said, "Kokoko, what fine game has fallen here. Well then, should I eat it? No. I will wait until morning. I am sleepy." And that was from the shaman's words. Kele lay down and fell asleep, but he was still speaking his words. At last the earth split open. Water rose up and swallowed Kele. The young man fled. On the way, a raven saw him. "Kra, kra, kra. Better hide, they will catch you." "Oh, how my heart trembles," said Kele's wife. "Well then, I will go and look for my husband. Oh, how my heart trembles. I will go and look for my husband." She came there, but her husband was gone. Only water was churning in the chasm. She leapt across the chasm and gave chase. "Better hide in this hollow," said the raven, and he hid there. Kele's wife came up and said, "What a strange thing. Where have the tracks gone? Here they were, and now they are gone. Could he be in this tree? Something smells of fat." The raven said, "In vain. He left long ago. He is already travelling by water. That smell is from old scraps, and this water is flowing here toward you." Kele's wife ran away, and he reached home. Some time passed. Then he went out into the yard and saw a wild reindeer running. The reindeer ran up to him. Its tongue was hanging out of its mouth, dragging along the ground. Bloody foam ran along its tongue. "Why are you running like this?" he asked. "How could I not run?" said the reindeer. "There is a chase behind me. Will you give me help? And what will you give in return?" "A wolf will come along my tracks," said the reindeer. "His eyes are fiery and he breathes smoke. He has ruined me. He will come next month. If you protect me from the wolf, I will give you my body. You will be swift like a reindeer. I will give you my body. I will give you good fortune, and you will have luck in everything. But if you do not protect me, you will have misfortune in everything." The reindeer went away. The young man thought for a while and sat inside the tent. His father asked, "What are you so troubled about?" "Oh, nothing," he answered. 14 days passed. The next month came. The young man was walking on the tundra. A wolf ran out. "What trouble this is," said the wolf. "I blighted him 2 years ago. I have been chasing his tracks and cannot catch him. Even now his tracks are frozen before me. It is bad. I have torn all my footwear. I am completely barefoot. The soles are worn through. Friend, Have you seen any game running past? Yes, I have seen it, said the young man, but it has gone very far. There is a road ahead, though it is bad, all stones, all sharp. Still, chase it. You will catch it soon. And when did it pass? Asked the wolf. Last month. Oh, said the wolf, I will rest. I have torn my footwear. Better I rest. Well then, said the young man, sleep here on this heap. And tomorrow help me, said the wolf. I will give you the power to blight. Whomever you wish, you will ruin. Good, said the young man. Sleep today. Tomorrow, I will go as well. The wolf lay down in the open field to sleep. The young man had only one draft reindeer, white as snow. The reindeer said to him, I will finish this wolf for you. But when you go toward the Tangi people next year, take me with you. I want to fight their reindeer. In summer we will go to seek a bride beyond the sea. As I kick, you kick. As you kick, I kick. Cut off all my antlers. Leave only one root stump sharp as a knife. Shape it all around. Notch it like a saw. I will go and test the wolf. He shaped and notched the antler on its forehead, like the blade of a spear. The reindeer went. It came up to the wolf. The wolf caught the scent of the reindeer, jumped up, and chased after it. The wolf began to catch up. The reindeer kicked backward with its leg and smashed the wolf's head. Then it ran back to its master. It said, As I kicked, so you must kick. And now the young man had the strength of a wild reindeer. He made ready for the journey. He took his boat and went across the sea. He landed near the back neighbor's tent and married his daughter. The girl became his wife. The front neighbor heard of this and said, A son-in-law has come from across the sea. Let us amuse him with the ball. By the seashore there was a steep cliff. The people began to play with the ball and ran along the shore of the lake. The women threw the ball. The front neighbor ran after it, and the guest ran after him like a wild reindeer and overtook him. The front neighbor grabbed him by the hem of his coat. The young man kicked him with his foot, and he flew from the cliff into the water. He took his wife and went back. He came to land and went toward the Tangi, strangers from the other side. He reached a lake and crossed to the island on the ice. There he stood, without moving. From the other side, the Tangi came with their herd. As soon as the white draft reindeer saw the other herd, it rushed across the ice, burst into the herd, struck down all the bulls and scattered them in all directions. An old man said, As the reindeer is, so is its master. Better we go away from trouble. One man, What does it matter? Said the others. Let us attack him. They went across the ice. He enchanted his spear and threw it at those who were coming. The spear flew like a living man. It began to strike from sledge to sledge, cutting down man after man. It killed them all. He took the herd, the sledges, the wives and the children, and went home. He offered the white reindeer as a sacrifice upon the bodies. He lived in wealth, that is all. There was a reindeer man, a shaman. His only son, his one and only, died. The old man fell into sorrow. I will go and look for him. Where is he? Who took him? The body still lay in the tent. He had done nothing with it. He did not want to bury him. Well then, he said. Harness 2 reindeer. He began the shamanic rite. He spoke words over the reindeer. He set out. He went on. Then he fell and sank down into the shaman's sleep. He lay there all day. Then he rose and returned. The reindeer were worn out, as if they had come from far away. He searched the whole land, but he found nothing. On the following day, he said, "Yoke another team." He began the shamanic rite. He spoke words over the reindeer. He set out. Then he fell. He lay there 2 days. Then he rose and returned. Again the reindeer came back worn out, as if from far away. On the following day, he said, "Yoke another team, and take my fox-tracking dog with them. I will go with the dog." This time he lay there 3 days. Then he returned. "I have found him," he said. "There, among the upper people, bound beside a lamp, in the land of the bird-woman Kele, in the dark country, a small separate land." He began the rite again. He sank down into the shaman's sleep and returned. He took the body. He blew on the left little finger. The left hand stirred. He blew on the right little finger. The right hand stirred. He blew on the ring finger. The arm moved. He blew on the thumbs. Both hands came alive. He blew into the mouth. Then the son looked up and sat upright. "Oh, oh," he said, "I have slept a long time." Truly, he had slept a whole month, and they lived as before. Five brothers lived together. The youngest was a shaman. He kept away from women. When the brothers took wives, when they smeared blood in the wedding rite, the youngest would run off, anywhere, just to be away from the women. The brothers searched for him. He was nowhere to be seen. Later, he was at home, already beating the drum, already deep in the shaman's sleep. In time, all the brothers brought wives into the house. Only the youngest had no wife. He continued his shamanic rites. And the eldest brother's wife answered him during the ritual, calling back to his voice. At last, the young shaman said, "I too will take a wife." The brothers looked at him. "Where will you find a wife?" I will find one," he said. Far inland, there lived a man rich in reindeer. He had no son, only one daughter, an only child. And nearby there lived a neighbor, childless, with only his wife. They lived on together, the old people, side by side with that neighbor, and they all grew old. The only daughter fell ill. She was the one who did everything, the only one who tended the herd. Little by little she began to die. She grew weak. She died. Her father grieved. He left her lying in the sleeping quarters, just as she was. On the following day, the neighbor said to him, "I had a dream. She must be sent away." The father agreed. The old man took their best reindeer, the one that followed scent. He hung a bell on its neck. The girl was carried out of the tent. The father sat there doing nothing. The old neighbor moved about, busy with the dead. His wife did not help. He alone did everything. He bound the girl to the sled, harnessed the reindeer, and whispered into its ear, "Go where your mind leads you." At first the reindeer walked slowly, then faster. Then it broke into a run. Far away, the young shaman was still beating the drum, that spirit-marked youth, and the elder sister-in-law was still answering him with her calls. He said, "My bride. There, she is moving." Again the elder sister-in-law answered him. He stirred at her calls. He roused himself, and the reindeer kept running straight on, straight, from a very far land, from the middle land. He said, "Ah, my bride is coming near. What will I do? I am losing my mind." Soon they heard the bell. The reindeer arrived. The shaman said to his brothers, "Go and look, see what has come." They went out. On the sled lay something like a corpse. The brothers stared, frozen in superstitious fear. What was this? Then the answering sister-in-law took her and unbound her. The body was carried inside and laid beside the shaman. He said to the sister-in-law, "Now I will go. I will fall into the shaman's sleep. I will look for her soul to see where it has gone. It seems to me that this is she, my bride. I will try to find her soul. You must watch me. As soon as she moves, kick me. I leave this to you." He said this, and fell into the shaman's sleep. After a little while the girl's hand moved. At once the sister-in-law kicked him. The young man, deep in the shaman's sleep. "Come back. Enough. Bring life with you." The young man stirred. He moved his head. He returned. He truly woke. "Well," he said, "my bride is still lying here." And again he went down, deep in the shaman's sleep, this time for longer than before. At last, the dead girl rose and said, "I have grown hot." Again, the elder sister-in-law kicked the young man. They lay down to sleep. By morning, the girl was with child. Before long, the neighbors heard it from one another. "Come," they said, "let us look at the wife he has brought home." The shaman said, "I will show only her hand." They saw the hand, and they began to tremble. All of them went numb. The next day, the wife said, "Now the time has come to go to my father. My herd is scattering. We must go and see it." Again they took the same reindeer, the one that followed scent. They harnessed a single reindeer, though many were gathering. The answering sister-in-law went too with her husband. The four of them sat together on the sled. The shaman said, "Now, close your eyes." They sat only a short while. When they looked, they were already at her father's camp. The old neighbor saw them and said, "Ah, your daughter has come, together with her husband." The father did not listen. He sat as before. How can she come if she is dead? Tears ran from him without end. He was wasted to the bone. The son-in-law said, "We have come." Still he did not listen. Then the daughter came herself, with the child in her arms. Only then did the father lift his head. He rejoiced. It was frightening to look at them. The two old people were dried up, from grief, from hunger. Then the wife said to her husband, "Go after the herd. Find the barren females, the two young females, and the white reindeer with black eyes. Do not lose the great leader." The shaman went out. He stood on a rise and howled like a wolf. The spirits came, the special spirits. They gathered the herd. The great reindeer went out in front. Behind him the herd spread wide across the land. Then he kicked the trees. Each tree rose up as a person, one missing a leg, one missing an arm, one with only one eye. Yet all were swift, all were true herders. They came back to their own land. They brought the herd home. There, the shaman sounded the drum, and from that time on, they lived. In the time of the great illness, there was a young man. He went across the open land. There stood a camp. 20 tents stood there, but no one was alive. All the people were dead. He grew hungry and entered the main tent. Inside, the dead lay everywhere. He cooked meat for himself in a cauldron and stayed there for the night. But he could not sleep. All night long the dead people talked among themselves. The next day he went on and entered another tent. He cooked meat. Again he could not sleep all night. The dead spoke. The day after that he went into another tent, and it was the same. In this way he visited all 20 tents, one by one. Thus he learned the words of the dead. He heard them all. Then he took their things, many things, and went back to his own camp. But the dead followed him. Whenever he went visiting, the dead people came with him, completely unseen, unseen to the eye. So the youth, the companion of the dead people, became filled with power. He became a great shaman.